I do call the February 12th, 2026 Council on Aging regular meeting to order. If you're able, please rise and join me in the pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll. Craig. Sadler. Here. Moody. Here. Houston. Here. Sure. Houston. You have a quorum. You have a motion to approve the agenda as presented.
I do make a motion.
I'll take it. Sorry. Are there any revisions to that? Are there any objections to approving the agenda as presented? Hearing none, the agenda is approved. Scheduled public comments, but we have none. Let's do unscheduled public comments. Are there any members from the public? Nobody's here. Would like to speak on any items appearing on the agenda?
Oh, that was the one that was, we didn't do anything.
No, there's no remote. Okay, so we're moving on. January 8th, 2026 regular meeting minutes is now a motion to approve the minutes.
Motion to approve.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any revisions? Any objections to approving the minutes? Hearing no objections, the minutes are approved. And we have no unfinished business. Well, we're moving right along. New business, staff report.
So staff reports, in the packet, you'll see last year's work plan. We had 3 objectives for last year's work plan, and let's see, and what it looks like, we identified all 3 of them that were done. The only one that has not been done is the review emergency plan for the senior center, which is number 2, and identify programs and activities for health and wellness. And so getting what we need to do to provide to council is the actual annual report is going through with if you look on page, actually look on page 13 of your packets. And providing the brief description, it goes through the mission statement, which we didn't necessarily have, highlights the accomplishments, education outreach, what we did or what you did on this. It's the annual report and the summary. You look at each goal that we have. I would assume we would put on the following pages 14 and 15. We do the same thing for each of them. And then in looking over this, and it looks like to me that we did number 3. We did number 1. Number 1 was completed. Number 2, that is identifying opportunities for intergenerational programs. Then number 2, we're still not completed with number 2 because they're going to review the emergency plan for the senior center and give feedback on that is going to be, and then a recommendation to council to adopt that. That's taking place next month, in March. And so wondering if that should be you may consider putting that into the work plan again for 26 because it's not completed yet, if that makes sense. Then the third one was identifying programs and activities for health and wellness. And this is a continuing project that's being done. Gina and Bart have both been working on that. That may be one that can be carried over as well. And so
And I actually wrote another goal down related to that one. Perfect. I thought that's what we were looking for. I thought this whole step was for next year. Identifying new goals.
we have to
Do all of these.
if you
The
look
line
at
starting on the one.
if you look at on the new business on your agenda, number F on the agenda. So the first one is the summary report for the work plan 2025.
So we never wrote it as under.
That's what we're talking about right
Yeah,
now.
it's almost done.
Yeah.
It's,
Yeah, and
we
so
need to meet to see, because we have some questions.
on that, but
But-
the summary report, we would, if in the summary report, my understanding of that is that we would put number 1, what we did, what we went through, how letters were sent out. We identified different programs in the community that could be joined with the senior center. And then the summary for number 2 and 3, it would be that you carried those through to the next year. And so then Rachel would need to, if you are this is not a vote, so this is not an action item. The discussion is strictly a discussion item. If you are comfortable with, once we get to that, then Rachel and I will sit down over the next month and work through that summary report on goal number 1 that we can present next month to you so that it can go on to council if you're comfortable with that.
Okay,
Does that sound okay?
I think so.
Okay. And so I did not put this for an action item because we didn't have it and I wasn't here. I was in Canada for a few months. Yeah, so I wasn't here last month to bring to
Right, yeah.
So, okay.
Yeah.
That'd be then for any commission discussion on that particular item.
Commission discussion.
Could I go back, Kathy, to the emergency plan? Wasn't there a scheduled plan?
There is, and it was, we did not have a quorum. Was it either December or January? One of those, we didn't have a quorum here. And so we canceled it. I think it was weather. I'm not sure why it was canceled, but he was supposed to present it that night. It is actually pretty interesting. Red and I sat through a very abbreviated part of it. It'll be close to 1.5 to 2 hours, but it's very in-depth on what we're doing, what this whole emergency plan and operations for the senior center. And site specific, which is what we need for the Older Americans Act. Through our state grant, we have to have this in place. And then we will, once you see it and have any questions,
if you think anything needs to be changed, however that goes, then you can make a recommendation to the city to accept that plan. And that would be, so that's still, that may take a couple of months. Once we hear the thing, do you want to come back and talk, whatever that looks
So
like.
there's no scheduled date for that?
Yes, it's next month.
Next
It's
that
the
March
March,
9th?
it's the March 9th meeting. Yeah.
Thank you.
It's actually, he does it up on we'll probably bring in the huge television that we have. And he can put that up on there. And so it's actually pretty interesting. As it talks about, fire and earthquake and all sorts of, and what the senior center's responsibility would be in that. Shows areas
So it's all
that,
defined,
pardon me,
everything's defined.
everything's defined. It's pretty good. It's very interesting.
And that's gonna be a couple of hours,
It's gonna be,
March 9th,
Everything.
is a Monday.
it's March 12th.
Oh,
Thursday, March 12th. Yeah.
And I think December was weather and January was anything.
So. Hey. We're good on number 2 now.
Okay, so staff report for work plan 2026.
Okay, so in your packet, we have to we
Sure. Yes.
okay, there, if you are comfortable with doing that, would you feel comfortable bringing back for work plan 2026? We just talked about that. I can have in the packet next month that appropriating, or not appropriating, but setting objective number 1 and 2 for 2026 to be 2 and 3 from this year,
Yeah.
and then finishing that up.
Sure.
Do you have any additional work plan that you want to add to that?
Well, that's on the 25th. No, I forgot.
Okay,
But a few years ago, there was some.
I have it, but I think it's do this and to look at in relation to goal 3, which is so healthy aging for seniors. That if we wanted to stay in the goal, we could. It's kind of building on what we already did. If you could go over that and we could discuss that. The goal was at the bottom in a little explanation of what we did on that. So,
so
so our overall goal was to facilitate healthy aging for the senior population and the strategies we use. And those were developing the booklet and activities, developing resources and programs. We did a lot of that. We eliminated the need to do a needs assessment. So we did quite a bit of what we said on the goal, the original goal. But the new one is what we didn't do. Right. And that was developing, building on existing programs and resources through printed and online materials, strengthen membership and participation in senior center activities, and add to the volunteer program outreach and membership, and include advocacy support in those needs to meet a healthy aging as well. We didn't have anything about let's see, in there, including legal help, financial help, social, I don't know how you would say it, safety issues such as scamming, protecting the elderly from scamming and that kind of thing. Overall life safety issues and independent living. So I don't know if you want to go with a new goal or just stay with what we have. The
Can I ask a question, Barbara? Can I ask you a question?
Oh, why do you?
So, no, thank you, I've passed on down. So, considering the fact that you identified some strategies and things that you did do this year on number,
we have
goal number
but we didn't
three.
write it and we didn't send it in to anybody.
Right,
Right.
but, would it be, should we take, when Rachel writes up the report to council, she could easily write up the things that were done under goal number 3,
Right.
and then say, because there's additional things you'd like to work on that you want to extend in goal number 3 becomes goal number 2
Yeah.
for next year, or to bringing it back again. Are you comfortable with doing that? Okay, all right. So we'll take your notes on that, and maybe you want to work with Rachel on writing up that report.
I would, okay,
Okay,
because I just kind of scrawled stuff out.
Yeah, no.
It's not in any form that we could actually present.
so then based on this, and moving forward, are you comfortable with having a next month would do it, but in April have a work session to spell out what those work plan, what that looks like?
Not sure I'll continue after I finish typing up that, just with the other stuff I have going on
Okay.
and whatnot,
All right.
but
I'll have something back, we'll have something back for you in a work plan that you can vote on for the work plan approval in March, and then going over the work plan for 2026 in March, so we can move that forward and that part of piece of it is done. Does that sound okay?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, and maybe I'll, Rachel's gonna be gone for a period of time, but I'll once March for Meals is up, I'll come up for air. So,
Sounds good.
Thank you for doing that. Thank you.
Are we on to reports? Are we done with discussion?
It's up to you guys.
Any more discussion?
So, we have hired another driver. We are full, back to full capacity, and, with that, he will be gone the month of March, which gives us time. The state's taking a while on background checks right now, so, we'll get it. We have to have a background check, for him, and his name is Mark, so we have 2 drivers now named Mark. And so he'll be driving Thursdays and Fridays. And that's pretty exciting. So working on budget right now for the senior center, and have asked the finance director, as we asked the city manager yesterday, if he would be open to having us simplify the senior center budget. And the senior center budget was set up that way, and so we're looking at possibly doing that. That's not finalized, so. But we then we're really getting ready for March for Meals, and that's taking a lot of our time right now. But another thing is we're going to be, our radios
our vehicles are going to be obsolete, as new and improved, and to replace each one of those radios is about $2,500, and we have 6 of them with the base station is 6. And so we knew this was coming up, and what the police department did is they bought similar to a CB. It's in between a CB and a cell phone, and they use cell phone network, but it's a handheld. It's a device that's stationary and uses a similar type of radio. So you're not hanging on to this trying to call and everything, and it touches base with the base station. And so we're looking. The animal control currently is using those in their vehicles. And so we're looking, I talked to IT this morning, and he's looking at letting us see if that's going to work for us. And I'm going to put in a grant for these. Kenai Peninsula Foundation has a grant opening February 27th. So a couple $1,000. So I'm hoping that that's where that's going to come from. And then we did get an increase in, it was voted on last time we got it. We got a major increase in our Title III grant from the state. Last year we were cut $50,000. This year they increased it $72,000. So I don't understand it all, but so with that, especially during the COVID years, before the end of each year, I did a big order of home meal supply trays, a big order of meat, and a big order of canned goods. And that helped us push through next year and utilize those funds. I don't know what that looks like for us. Costs are going up, gasoline is going up, coffee is going up, and it is huge. And so I'm sure we'll figure it out. And when budget's done, I'll bring back budget to you, and you guys can see once the council approves it. And this next week, coming up on council, is a resolution for 2 Meals on Wheels vehicles for the senior center. So it is it's pretty exciting, actually. If you look at our Meals on Wheels vans, one of them, the floor is almost bored through with the drivers and the driver's seat, but we have gotten a lot of years out of those. Senior Connection helped with that. Walmart helped with that. I think those were bought in the early 2000s, in the red vans were 2008. The red vans have been here for a while. And so we're in the process of, we now have our big whites that we have. The red vans are going away, much to the disappointment, but they're 200,000 miles on those vehicles. So this year we were to get a new Meals on Wheels vehicle. And so we looked at they don't make the transit vans like that. And Eric, our Deputy Public Works Director, has been phenomenal at investigating things. And he came with all sorts of things, from a pickup to a Ford Edge. And I said, yeah, and so, and truthfully, and then the city's looking at the life expectancy. Once we're done, maybe using it for 5 years, then can it be utilized in another department? And so we tried to say, yeah, we'll take the police cruisers, please. But we don't get that. So anyway, so a new Meals on Wheels van and a new Meals on Wheels vehicle. And across the state contracting fleet, there wasn't anything that would be good for the city. The police department gets new Ford pickups and things on the state contract fleet. Well, all of a sudden, Ford Bronco emerged on the state contract fleet. And so there was the Bronco, and then there was the small Ford pickup. Well, I did not believe that the little Ford pickup was going to work. And so our meals drivers, Red and I, had them go over to Kendall Ford and look at the Ford Bronco, and it's not the big off country one that,
Right.
you know, raised and everything. It isn't much higher than our current Ford Transit that we have. It gets great gas mileage. It's all-wheel drive, and they said they're phenomenal. So that's the one that we were going to go for. And when the price came in, they anticipate the price to go up again a good 10,000 next year. And next year we were set to get a second vehicle for Meals on Wheels. But this year, Dave Swarner, our finance director, said they had money in the vehicle replacement fleet, the senior center, other than the 2 vans. It had been years since we'd replaced any vehicle. And so he recommended going after 2 and getting them for the price about $33,000 a piece, which is, you know, a Ford Explorer is $50,000. And so it was a good thing. So it hasn't gone through council yet. It goes through council next Wednesday night. And that's kind of exciting. So they have, I believe, our ordinance for the increase in the Title III money goes through council next Wednesday night too. So I'll be at council next Wednesday night. So that's kind of exciting. And it's nice to have some good news, isn't it? Yeah, it's some good news. So we had something interesting. We had found out this week that we are not allowed to have a football pool. And a football pool here at the senior center. And
Why?
someone called and reported us to the gaming, or they called the Department of Revenue. I'm not sure how it came out, but Senior Connection, what it did is it put Senior Connection's gaming license in jeopardy. And even with a phone call from me and a phone call, poor Bill Nelson, they were like, well, Senior Connection has all their gaming things at the senior center. And so it's too close because, and I called her back and I said, this is a friendly, we're not taking money from the house, isn't receiving any money on this. It is strictly between seniors. And I've worked there almost 30 years and we have done this every year. And she says it's too close to Senior Connection to do it high ridge. It's too close to Senior Connection to possibly get it looks too close, you know, it's the appearance of evil, basically, impropriety. And so anyway, we promised them we would never do that again. But it was a little bit alarming because it had the individual come to us and ask us about it. We could have checked it out instead of being reported that we were doing something wrong. And so the last thing I want to say is I have put in and asked for cameras to be turned on at the senior center. And so we identified 8 per our policy, per the new city policy for camera and recording. We've identified 8, and IT has gone through all the hoops to let us know what it would cost. And because of the issues we've had with homeless individuals, because of in this last year, we had one, it was a really, really good guy until he wasn't. And so we're in between the 2 homeless camps, and it is it also will be a deterrent on pilfering that we've had issues with for many, many years. And so it's not something that will be monitored. No one will be sitting in front of a camera watching it like they do at stores. But it will be if something happens with the computers or something, this room, the craft room, the lunchroom are easy targets for things being pocketed. And so and then of course on top of that, safety, so that we could identify who was in the room and whatnot. That's something that I believe we'd need it for a long time. And, we would have it, it would be a sign, people would let know that they are being recorded. Truthfully, to me, the sign alone would be enough of a deterrent.
So
So
that including any external door cameras?
it would be,
I mean, would it be a system that includes entry over the main entrance? What?
there is one right as you come in the main entrance that covers the whole
Yeah.
lobby. There is one coming in this door. There are two in the craft room, but I'd like two kept in the craft room. There's one here, and I believe right out, no, there's not one outside this door. There's one at the far end of the dining room. There's one as you enter the dining room. And those are not cameras that are currently turned on. Those were people counters that we used COVID funding because the federal government said, or the state says you can only have this amount of people in this amount of square space. So we had to count how many people came through our building. And the library and the visitor center have had turned their cameras on, from what I understand. So it's a positive thing. So anyway, we're anticipating that July 1st, having that going too. So I think that's all I have. If anybody has any questions,
Wheelchair van. They don't exist anymore.
wheelchair van. So we were in December, many of you came to the borough. The state of Alaska through DOT has a transit 5310 and 5311, I believe, and they're grants that you can get ADA accessible vehicles. Last year, we tried to go to that for two new 15-passenger vans and saw right away we were going to be low priority because they weren't ADA accessible. They wanted ADA, but our highest need was two new vehicles that we could get more than 6 people in at a time. And so I backed out of it. I said, we'll come again next year. We'll be ready next year for this. And the city helped us get we got the two 15 passengers. This year we've applied. We applied in September. We got the word in, I don't remember, October, November. We had to meet before our local transportation committee that the borough hosts. They don't oversee, but they host it. And we gave a presentation on what we were looking for. And that group of people voted, and then your local transportation coordinator, transportation has to set who gets priority, which one of these agencies are priority. And everybody voted for us to be number one priority we won't be looking for a big wheelchair van. It will be something like a Chrysler Pacifica or a Toyota Sienna that has a wheelchair ramp out the back and they come up. No, it has 2 available wheelchairs and then also availability to seat 4 people in that vehicle. And so a vehicle like that is about 100,000, 90 to 100,000. And we wrote the grant. Once we got through that meeting, Senior Connection, sometime in November, December, I asked them for a matching grant for that. And which is, we have to have a 20% match. So I asked Senior Connection and they're giving us 18,000 in a matching grant, 20% for it. So we've asked for 72,000 from DOT. The last few days, they've been going through it's on a online program that they use. It's called Black Cat Transit. And they've asked us to tweak ours. But in the Kenai Peninsula Borough, we're the number one priority on this. So we will know by April 1st if we got the grant. And that would then, we're a little bit different because being a municipality, we can't go out and just solicit bids right now. We have to go through an RFP process, and that's created not some issues, but it is different than a regular nonprofit saying, we've got bids, this is what we want, this is, because we can't, our code doesn't allow us to be that specific, but it'll work itself out. We'll do it the correct way. So hoping by sometime after July, we have an ability to purchase a vehicle. So what that will do too is increase our Medicaid waiver transportation funding. And we have been telling people no, we have been saying we can't provide wheelchair service. We don't need a big bus that seats 20 and has 2 wheelchair things. We hopefully maybe one day we will. But the bigger thing is, and that we put on this grant too, is that there are people that sure there's cards, sure there's tokens and independent living, but there are also a lot of people who can't afford that.
Yeah.
They cannot afford to call cards even in a wheelchair and need ADA accessible. You can go get buy taxi coupons at independent living, but it still costs you cash. Our grant allows us to ask for a donation, but not demand one. And so we do have people, we serve people that can't afford to do that. We are the only one who does that on a donation basis. So because of our Title III grant.
Do the new buses have wheelchairs that's donated?
The Knightsy?
Yeah. You know,
I don't think so. To my knowledge, I haven't think so.
The big buses.
the big buses, yeah.
I know they have places to put your bike if somebody wants bikes, but I didn't hear anything about it. Wheelchair was there.
I really hope they're successful. I really hope they're successful.
Talk about work for meals.
A little bit,
Okay,
just a little bit.
are you done with your?
I'm
report?
done with mine.
Anybody have questions? Director?
You can.
Okay. Everybody see, this is your turn.
Oh, we have the reins.
You're first.
You're ahead.
Oh, I'm first. I'm there passing myself over. I got it together.
Gina's done a good job.
I was like, oh, I'm never.
Or together, so. I like that.
Yeah, next time.
Somebody go ahead and have to report. Unless anybody has questions for me.
Well, I had 2 meetings that we had. The first one was January 7th. It was pretty short, but we accepted a donation to the United Community Library. And we amended our schedule of rates at the visitor center or at the rec center for the different groups that are using it. And we increased the league participation fee and then remove the league basketball team fee. And then under new business, we increased revenues to conduct a special election. As you probably know, we vote as a community, we voted to align our election with the borough election and try to get it all at one time in November. As a result of that, we have to change our ordinance and it has to be approved by the citizens of Kenai. So we're doing a special election on April 14th. And once that happens, otherwise it would cost us much more to do the election on our own. Where now if we do it with the borough and the state, we share all the costs. And it's a one-time thing. We also authorized the city manager to complete an agreement for mutual aid with the Alaska Water Wastewater Agency Response Network. That group gave us I believe it's a $1.4 million loan that then gets forgiven once we complete the work. So it's actually a very nice thing. And then we also consented to assignment of a lease agreement of track A and B, City of Kenai Shore Fishery number 1. Administration brought that. They want to sign a lease agreement, and I don't remember who it's with. And then our second meeting on the 21st, that one was a little longer. We increased revenues for the election costs. We got all that taken care of, and that is going to happen on April 14th. And then we authorized a budget transfer within the budget with the Kenai Rec Center improvements, it wound up costing more. Everything is going up. It's like it's weekly, it seems like. They are also working, they declared a 20-foot pedestrian easement off of Shoreline Heights. There had been an easement granted and it just goes to the bluff. So they vacated it. So now the owners have that piece of property they can do something with. There was more resolutions we had to pass regarding this special election. There also, this year between May and October, FAA has given us a grant and they're resurfacing the main runway. And so we wound up having kind of a mess there because they have the GPS approaches so that the IFR pilots can come through the clouds. And the last time this was done was in 2008, and it was approved that they could use the existing approach and they could come in under the clouds. And once they got under the clouds, they could just sidestep over and land on the taxiway. Well, the FAA decided that wasn't a good idea anymore. So now we had to purchase a new approach to put over on the other side. So that was like, they budgeted 60,000 and I think the bid came in at like 45 and they assure us it will be done and operational by May 10th. We also sunset the Harbor Commission. It's of course available to reenact if we get some more harbor activity, but there just hasn't been anything going on there. There's 4 city-owned properties off of Beaver Loop that are used for or will be used for gravel extraction, and those have been approved to be for public sealed bid. And we had a firefighter who attended a paramedic internship program out of state. He used all of his own personal PTO and vacation time. And we elected to reimburse him for that because he did it on his own dime, went down. I think he spent 8 weeks at that internship program. The water and sewer project from that loan that we had to approve that again. That's in that 2-step process. Mayor Nexted nominated Autumn Carlson to the Beautification Commission. And as Kathy talked about, we authorized the use of city facility cameras or at the rec center and what was the other center? Visitors library. And now for the senior center. And I think that's everything. I'm open for questions. That's true.
Is there anyone else that would like to speak? I'm sorry, my double appointment went south. I haven't been here. But our next meeting will be March 12th, and I really won't be here. I'll be out of state. So anybody else that will not be able to be here on March 12th?
The emergency, in service is on that date.
Emergency oil.
Emergency.
Okay.
I should be here, so.
Okay, commissioners, comments?
This is just a handout I gave when we were discussing the program, so you'll have a copy of this. We'll be getting together. Okay.
Comments? Gina or Bill?
I'll be here for the next meeting.
And no further business. This body is adjourned.
Sunset meeting.
They